where women can go into business of agrochemical supplies. So where they can go into maybe fertilizer sales and some other things like that. Agricultural input.
Anyway, we want to go get cooperation with ourselves. Or this one, make the computer go. Hey, my father died. I'll go my father go there.
Hello, sir. Hello, ma'am. Are you with us? All right. Please, can you mute your mic? Okay. We have no much time, so we have to manage the time. We understand the network issues we have in this country, but however, we just have to make do of what we have now. All right. I want to believe that Miss Farmer is around now. We have like 4 questions for you before we allow people to ask you questions, and I would like to go straight to one of it. We understand that in terms of agri value chain, you've done a lot in that aspect, and I want to believe that there are a lot of things that women can make do of. But when it comes to access to resources in terms of finance and maybe facilities to make use of, you see people complaining. How did you do it? What will you advise upcoming female farmers to do? Thank you.
Thank you very much for that question. I get asked this all the time. How do you raise financing and how do you get resources to drive your enterprise? And I always have a very quick response. And the response is what value are you bringing to the table? Nobody pays for, people pay for value. So if you're not providing value, why should I throw my resources at you? I don't know if I'm making sense. You must be bringing. I have had a rough sojourn, but I have been very deliberate in my endeavor. As a result, opportunities just never ceased to open for me. And I think that that's where the real essence of inclusion comes in, when you're participating in a sector that is extremely capital intensive. So I'll share 2 instances. So 2 major resources that people require, in fact, 3 major resources that people require when they come into agribusiness, depending on what aspect, whether you're going to primary corporate. And so many times people foray or stray into the sector without researching, without gaining the requisite knowledge to help them drive the venture. Verses from the Bible says, my people perish for lack of knowledge. That scripture has never been more true or profound. It's based on the fact that if you do not have deep knowledge of a sector or a space or an industry you're going to play in, the probability that you will succeed in that as an area of endeavor is slim. So it's very important for us as people to be deliberate about seeking knowledge, and which is what most of you are doing on this call. That's foremost. The other thing is access to land. Today, I tell people that within the last, over the last 10 years, the challenge that I faced in the early days pushed me to be a bit more deliberate and aggressive in land access and in land acquisition. And today you can trade off land without cash. You do not necessarily need money. You could go into JVs with people who own land assets. You could also set up a land where people drive your operation. So for me, it's about understanding what works along the value chain that I want to play in, and then building my capacity in that space in a manner that makes me attractive. You see how I've crafted it. You've got to build your capacity enough for people to want to invest. Now, if you come to me today and say you want to start an agri-business enterprise, and I sit and listen to you and I think that you do not have deep knowledge of the space you want to play in, I won't put my money there. And so many of us are already unattractive because we do not have knowledge. So people will pay for value, people will pay for knowledge. Now, another currency that you require in this sector is time. Nothing in the agribusiness sector can happen overnight or in a hurry. There's no overnight success in agriculture. If you rush in, you will rush out. If you make quick revenue and you do not have the staying power for the long term, the probability that you will succeed at that venture is very low. If you see people who have succeeded in agribusiness, like I have over the years, it's their capacity to stay on, it's their resilience, it's their commitment to constant learning, unlearning, and relearning that drives their capacity and ability to grow. Now, so when you want to plug into a get-rich-quick scheme, then what you're playing at or getting at is, one, you're playing with the probability that you lose your resources, that's financially. You're also treading on dangerous paths, and that's why there are a lot of Ponzi schemes around that people buy into, and they're not sustainable. Now, the real people who are doing agribusiness oftentimes are not visible because many of us are busy doing the business that we're set out to do, so you do not have a lot of time for the hypes. Now, when you have built your enterprise to a point where visibility is inevitable, and I like to use Alhaji Sani Dangote as a very good reference point. And even the people like the Imo Hills Farm in Osun State, when your enterprise is at a sustainable pace or phase, people will look for you. But today, what I see happen a lot in the agribusiness space is because we're in the digital era, many more people are quick to project and promote, and they haven't learned the ropes. So it's very important that everyone who wants to play in the agribusiness sector seeks knowledge. Think of creative and innovative ways to finance their project. Sometimes you may need to do collaborations. Sometimes you may play to your strength. Sometimes you may also just need to intern or do an apprenticeship program, which is what many young people and women run away and shy away from. Everybody now wants to be a leader. Everybody now is a thought leader. Everybody now is a consultant. Everybody now is a teacher. Who is the student? When do you create room to be a student? When do you create room to learn? When do you create room to make mistakes? And in learning, I'm not necessarily saying that you should not apply the knowledge. Apply the knowledge, but be very open, bearing in mind that somewhere along the line, you will make mistakes. But today, it's cheaper to learn from the mistakes that people like I have made. It's cheaper than to make yours, because in this era, sometimes you may make those mistakes and you may never recover. By my 27th birthday, I was already about 5 years long in the agribusiness space, and I lost everything. By my 27th birthday, my financial indebtedness and exposure to the banks were in excess of 27 million naira, which literally meant 1 million naira for every year I had lived at the time. Fast forward to over 12 years later, the story is different. The experience has birthed a new energy in me, and it has charted a new course for me, and it has made me become a bit more innovative and creative with my approach to agribusiness. So what I did when I was a child, I thought like a child. Now that I am much older, I'm able to eat meat. You know, I'm able to do things differently. I'm also riding on the shoulders of other giants to accomplish some of the things that I want to in the agribusiness space. I hope that will put some clarity to that question.
All right, thank you very much. I know that it is not a day job. When you've done a lot of, there are a lot of bruises in your body, you know, you'll be able to speak a lot. It's those who have not seen any bruises that you will not be able to, you know, speak more. Of course, that is what many of us are running away this time around. Of course, when you are bruised on the field, you will know the better way to, you know, to solve any challenges that you face. Thank you very much for that. I want to believe that Mrs. Morenike is also here. Okay, it's on and off. I don't know. Two of our guests have been trying to come in, and all right, I think it's on now. Miss Morenike, are you here? Hello. Hello, Mrs. Morenike. All right, okay. Are you with us? Can you hear us? She has
She
been
needs to
chatting me.
unmute her mic.
Yeah, I hear you now.
I have.
I can hear. Yes, I have.
All right. You were saying something the other time, but of course, I want to add something to it so that you can answer it all together. These days, you see that
Okay.
many of our women, especially even the youth,
Yeah.
looking at the insecurity
Okay, thank you very much. So I would say to you that it's a thing of the mind. I have very limiting beliefs. I do not allow myself to be limited by people's opinion of me, my gender regardless. When I was raised by a father who did not separate. Okay, there were times when he gave preference to me being female, so he would not let me do certain tasks. But you see, he did not raise me to be a lesser human being. And I have also improved on that. So when people bring up this gender, when they play the gender ticket at me, I am very quick to shrug it off. And I'll explain. So I currently, in my fleet of vehicles, I have 6 tractors, right? And I have never thought that there's anything that I cannot do. So I jump on my tractor and I drive them because I have to get work done. And I don't care who's struggle with driving sedans, I mean regular Oma truck country. And that's the biggest thing. So it's very early in my journey. And I have my father also to thank for helping with that. But have I faced challenges along the way? People try. My first farm was 25. My first property that I bought, purchased, was 25 hectares somewhere in Ogun State. for security reasons, I will not disclose. But it is out there. I mean, now when I bought that property, I recall that for the first 3 to 4 years, I really could not disclose that I was the owner. I always used to go to the farm saying that daddy said, daddy said, daddy said, daddy so, daddy making so, you know, and all of those things. And it was just wisdom to protect myself. It was not because I was very young. I mean, we didn't even have this level of headers crisis in the farms at the time. We didn't have this level of insecurity. But I was a young graduate. I had just decided to venture into agribusiness. And I find myself in the middle of nowhere on a daily basis with strange men, exposed to strange men from time to time. So I always protected myself by claiming that I was working on my father's farm. And the good thing was that the man that I brought the property from was a man of repute in that community. So everybody, and nobody knew his children, they just knew he had daughters that were abroad. So everybody just assumed that I was his daughter. And that worked for me, and it protected me for about 5-7 years until the man passed on. Now, not everybody will have that trajectory. That was my trajectory. And having worked with the ministry, I have to tell you, it was tough because here I was, an upwardly mobile young woman who had achieved her own feat in the agribusiness space. Now coming into the ministry, I mean, I was there during President Jonathan's time as a youth ambassador. I was during Dr. Adesina's time, I was one of the youth champions for agriculture. And then suddenly, fast forward to the next administration, I am brought in as the first senior technical advisor on youth and gender. That met with a lot of unpleasant responses. Some people, so I'll get to work someday and people will be calling me my daughter, our daughter, in the workspace, right? So they try to play the ageist game. They try to play the gender ticket, but I didn't let it deter me from being a voice and a spokesperson for women and youth. I also didn't let that deter me from achieving some of the things I went there to do. Now, did I achieve or accomplish all? The answer is no. If I get the same opportunity again, I will play it differently because I'm wiser now on some fronts. I would be openly, I would say I'll be less emotive like I was in the first 2 years. I'll be less aggressive. But again, wisdom comes with age. By the time, I mean, there are challenges that face you on the job on a daily basis. But I was very excited at the opportunity to serve my nation over the course of a 6-year period. And I would not trade that for anything. And I dare to say that, I mean, it was in my time that we crafted the first major Nigerian gender action plan for women in agriculture. And that gives me joy that that document is in the archives of the ministry, that even it's still a live document for me because I constantly work on it. I use it to work with development agencies. I use it as a baseline for the scope of work that my foundation is now embarking on. And it's also informed a lot of the decisions that I will be taking over the course of the next 10 years of my journey. So yes, that's where I am. It's something that I wouldn't trade. I am committed, and I say proudly, I carry only one passport. Despite my sojourn to the US, the UK, exposures to high level of government, I have never for one day attempted to change my citizenship. Not for one, because, and I'll say it here, because it sells a ray of hope to a new cadre of young Nigerians that are coming behind me, that you do not need to be a Canadian citizen or British-born Nigerian to be successful. You do not need to have lived abroad to make impact. You do not necessarily need to have my first degree was here in Nigeria. I attended the Lagos State University, Ojo. Yes, I have gone abroad to get further certification, but I am a full grown Nigerian. And I also make bold to say, I have never ever stolen from government. I have never taken money that is not mine. Everything that I have taken from government is a wage that was in my contract paid to me. So, and I've never done a government contract in my life before, and I am not ashamed. And I feel, I mean, I don't begrudge those who do, but I am in my own right a success story. And I think that it's important that we all understand who we are, where we're headed, and what we're here for. Once you focus in that dimension, you will make a success. And agribusiness has huge opportunities. I don't sleep enough because Nigeria is on my mind on a daily basis. I'm trying to do a balance there. Today, I've been out of my house since 5:30 a.m. I've been in Victoria Island since 6:30 because I am working with an international agency to craft. In fact, we're closing today to finish the design of a program that we will start implementing from Monday morning. And it is on 4 platforms. It works through 4 modules. We're working on employment for young people across Nigeria. We're working on creating businesses for people across Nigeria. The 3rd module is working on, so it starts, starting, sorry, 2nd module is starting businesses. The 2nd one is creating, and the 4th one is scaling businesses. You know, and this is also targeted at young people between the ages 18 and 35. So this is what I live for. The essence of my being is to ensure that I craft my own message in the sands of time in Nigeria and Africa and beyond as God gives grace. I hope that answers your question, Ajala. Ajala, did we lose you? You're the host. Okay, Ajala is not here, so maybe I should moderate. Mrs. Morenike, I see you now, and there was a question for you, and I'm sure even I am eager and keen to hear about your experience in the with regards to insecurity and how you're managing that and how you're interacting with the Fulani headsmen, because I have a bad experience. I've had to shut down a farm operation in Oyo State, in Igogon, where the heat is right now. I have 750 hectares of operations starting out there, and we've suspended operations indefinitely. So please, let's hear your journey and learn from you.
Thank you very much for the question you've raised as regards the issue of insecurity, especially as it affects the farmers here. Yes, in 2017, I'm an agricultural practitioner, and at the same time, I'm an agri extensionist. I manage a project on rural development. So that gives me the opportunity of having a lot of farmers that I'm working with. So with the information gotten from the farmers end, we assess, we were doing annual assessment of situation on the field, and we realized that there were, what do we call it, repeated farm invasion on the field, especially for those farmers that are in farm settlement. A lot of their maize farms were affected. So as a result of that, we sat down then to decide what we can do in addressing this situation. And then, as at that 2017, we were targeting farmers only. But having done the assessment, we considered the need to integrate Fulani into our interventions. So we had inclusive intervention on rural development. So in 2018 precisely, we developed an action plan on how to locate these people, because if we really want to work with the farmer, with the pastoralists, we have to really know where they are, because a majority of them does not live among the people in the cities. They live in the remote part of the state. So the first thing we do is to do the mapping of their location, the various locations within Osun State. So we identify. It took us like 3 months before we could get that done. We had their location mapped. We had their location map. That was 2019, 2018, 2019, and 2020 we include them fully into our programs. So what we started in 2020 was that we visited them. We conducted a need assessment of what were the situation in their various communities, and we discovered that on their own part too, we have a different level of Fulanis. We have those ones that have settled, which have been here for the past 70 years. We have those ones that are semi-settled. We have the ones that are migrant, they are seasonal migrants. Those ones comes and go away. And those are the major ones that really cause trouble. But for those ones that are settled, although they invade farms too, but that one is at limited level. So we assess the situation, we assess their needs, we tell them, what do you need? What do you want? Because our philosophy is do no harm. Now, from the crop farmers to herders, we are just like a man that has just married 2 wives. So we must devise a way of managing both of them. So we want our farmers not to see us as an enemy of their program, and at the same time, enemies of their progress. And at the same time, we don't want a situation whereby the Fulani will see us as enemy of their progress too. So we have to balance the equation to know the needs of these ones and the other ones. And last year, November precisely, we conducted a private training for both the farmers and the herders. And they came. And in December last year, we had an interactive forum among our stakeholders, and they attended. The head of Fulani came with other delegates of Fulani with the farmers. They interacted, and we developed a communique in that respect. So our philosophy is do no harm. Although it has not been an easy task for us, but with the wisdom and with the system of approach that we are using, it has really been working. Because, like I said, our philosophy is do no harm. We are balancing the equation, is 50-50 among the two target beneficiaries. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam. I think Ajala is back. I see him respond in the chat box. Yes. So I probably will pass the moderation back to him, but it's very good and insightful to learn what you have done and how you try to manage and balance the interaction between farmers and the both settled Fulanis within those communities and the migrant headers. Thank you very much. Ajala, over to you.
Thank you very much for taking that in hop. Network could be frustrating at times.
It was my pleasure.
So also. We because this meeting is supposed to be 1 hour interaction, and that is the schedule. We schedule 1 hour for this meeting. So of course, I don't know, maybe anybody have any questions to ask. You can unmute your mic. I think Aruna is raising his hand up. Please, before we round off this session. I don't know. You are on.
Hello? Hello? Hello?
Hello, we can hear you.
Yes, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yes, and I want to appreciate all the contributors, especially the 2 women farmers or entrepreneurs that have spoken earlier, Miss Moranike and the other lady. And I want to say that you have actually shown, I mean, the effort you have made in your own endeavors, and other women should be able to emulate that despite all these challenges of insecurity and the rest, that is lack of access to fund and the rest, you are able to break grounds and moving forward. Especially the other lady that said at age 27 or so, she almost lost all her investment for 5 years and was
time. Mr. Aruna, because of our time, just go straight because we have no more time around.
Okay. Well, where I want to go is this issue. Women should be able to form corporations, cooperative societies, that they will be able to work together to advance the cause of women in farming. It can actually reduce the issue of insecurity and access to funds, especially from government agencies and NGOs. So, and that is one of the areas I feel that they can actually be successful, so that they can get funds to invest in their businesses. That is forming cooperation and being able to forge ahead to, like issue of insecurity, they are going to the farm, they should be able to go together, or that is have cluster of farms to reduce insecurity of attacks and all the rest. And then also, like for example, the Nisra Microfinance Bank, if they apply as cooperative, they give them more opportunity than applying as individuals. Well, that's my conclusion for the fact that there's no time.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Aruna. Mrs. Moredigal or pretty Mrs. Farmer, will you be able to speak about it?
Yes.
Just try and try to give a round of also from your end because of that time.
There is need for women to come together to form themselves into group. When you look at various programs of government or agencies or maybe civil society organizations, you discover that they are not dealing with individuals. They always request that a group of men should come together to assess one interventions or the other. So it is very necessary for women to come together, because when you are speaking like as a group, you command more respect. You command more response from external agencies or individuals or government. But when you are speaking as an individual, even when you go to banks and some other things like that, because of the risk and some other things, they may not answer in time. When you are coming together, and for instance, if our agreed loan now, tell you yourself into group, we assist you in doing this and that. So it is very necessary at this point that even apart from that, the of marketing has gone beyond the individualization of a product. We need to come together and speak with one voice and be able to get certain things done. With that, we can achieve a lot. So it is very necessary, as Mr. Aruna has said, that there is need for self-help group being formed among the women farmers, so that a lot of things they are unable to do will be done. We have a lot of cartels now, a lot of cartels that are mitigating a lot, against effective marketing. But when women speak with one voice, they will be able to overcome those challenges in aspect of marketing. So it is very necessary. I see it as a necessity. Marketing. So it is very necessary. I see it as a necessity.
Thank you very much for that, and we are gradually coming to an end. And I want pretty Miss Farmer to give his not last word, but last regard, like a kind of advice.
Okay. So I would say that group dynamics differ from location to location. As interesting as it would sound for us to want to form cooperatives, I think that it's not just for money, it's for knowledge sharing as well. It's for it would go a long way. It would go a long way, really, when women form groups. However, we need to be sensitive to many other factors that limit women from being effective as for men in agrarian communities. They have the final say. But in most instances, before a woman can take any decision extensively, even with regards to her business, she needs to factor her role in the home, on the home front. She needs to factor her role, especially where her children are concerned, how much time I have to save. But having said that, I like to leave us all with a charge. And that charge is that we're living in very peculiar times. And the time to, we're in very unusual times, and the solutions that the require right now, women need, everyone, not even women, as a collective, we all need to begin to think about how we will solve today's challenges and what solutions we're all going to bring to the table. The era of someone owes me, the government